So the question then becomes, well, how do we make someone that doesn't know who we are care about us or actually want to hear from us? And that's where content comes in. And creating content is actually valuable and actually relevant to somebody. So like you say, video is one of the best ways to do that because it allows us to stand in front of a camera, create something of value, and then we can use Facebook to promote it out to people.
Welcome to the Magnificent Marketing Podcast, where we interview the top marketing experts in the world to keep you up to date on all the changes and best practices to help you grow your business and stay on the cutting edge. Welcome to the show.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today with Gavin Bell, and Gavin is a multi-award-winning entrepreneur and really knows his onions when it comes to Facebook ads. Not only is he a leading Facebook advertising consultant, but he's also a renowned vlogger with millions of views. You might just see him speaking to his camera today. Gavin helps brands across the world to utilize Facebook in a way that not only builds their audience, but turns that audience into revenue. His work has been featured on the likes of Virgin.com, Huffington Post, Entrepreneur on Fire, Kissmetrics, and Social Media Examiner. And today we are going to talk about why you need to embrace video for Facebook, as well as giving you some helpful Facebook video tips. Gavin, how you doing today?
I'm very well, thanks. Even better to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, I was just telling Gavin I had to run back to the bathroom to make sure my hair wasn't sticking up because we're doing video. And then I was like, oh, on that note, we're talking about video today. And we specifically went this direction due to the way Facebook has headed and is even more heading now. They're basically incentivizing in a way people to do more video. So, but before we get into all your awesome tips here, Gavin, let's just first dig into why you think video is continuing to grow in importance for Facebook as well as the other social platforms. Why is this?
I think it's continued to grow because it's probably almost the most natural way of communicating. If we think of how we communicate with people in person, we see a face, we see somebody's mouth moving, we can hear it, we can see it. And I think when it comes to online and social, people are craving that human connection just as much. And to add to that, if we look at the average person's attention span now and trying to keep, if you watch a child or children consume media now, they don't want to read a book, they want to watch a video. It's just the way that consumer behavior is moving, and I can only see it continuing to move that way as well. It's probably and it probably comes down to it's the best media form to keep someone's attention, just because you get to see, you get to hear, you can almost get to feel when if we start talking about VR or AR, you can actually almost feel what you're seeing as well. So it's from an attention point of view where we're in a place where our attention spans are reducing. Video is allowing us to keep them.
So it's almost where like nature, the forces of nature of, who we are as human beings meets technology, right? And Facebook, if you really watch Facebook, they cater first to users. They have to. Just as like the search engines, Google, they have to cater to the people first. And then the businesses and all of us come in and figure out ways to best utilize that. And this is just another direction that Facebook is going, to serve users because we like to consume video. And you say video and audio, but with if your sound's off, you'll get the words as well, right? So you almost can read in a way, and in a sort of way. So basically, Facebook is dictating what the world wants, and then we're getting along with that, and that's why they're incentivizing it, because that's what users want. Basically, the bottom line.
100%. Facebook has two goals really: to have more users on the platform, spending more time on the platform, because that can help them with their third goal, which is it means we've got advertisers like me and you who come and spend money on that platform to reach those people. So by using video, keeping people's attention, keeping them on the platform, it allows Facebook in a long-term game to make more money from ad revenue.
Absolutely. And then let's talk into that. As we're getting people to engage in these videos, be it watch them for 10, 15, 20, 30, 60 seconds, or, big percentage of them, or some sort of position, some sort of time on the site. What else, or viewing those ads or those videos, what are the other benefits you get from that from a business or marketing standpoint? Like what does that allow you to do then?
Yeah, from a business and marketing standpoint, I think the number one thing is it builds trust. if we look at any marketing communications, the number one thing that we're trying to do as businesses is to earn the trust of potential customers. Number one thing. That's the one thing that groups every single business, regardless of niche or industry or whatever it may be, together, gels everyone together, as we're all trying to build trust. And you can build trust by doing anything, but video, like we said before, allows people to see and hear. And if they're thinking of buying, it allows, if somebody's thinking to buy something from me, if I've got video out there, they can see me, they can hear me, they can get to know who I am, they can start to feel my personality, which builds trust and has that human to human kind of interaction. So when it comes to marketing and business, there's no better way. If I want to reach people in America, video is the next best thing, as opposed to going out to America and shaking hands. It allows people to see and feel me and hear me online.
And with these new limitations, placed on Facebook, which are mainly targeting limitations, due to all the Senate hearings, and feel free to validate or invalidate that. But do you see video becoming even more important because of that, right? Not with the trust building, like that all could have been the same 6 months ago. But, a couple months ago when all that went down, people keep asking, is Facebook going away? Is it not going to be a good place to advertise anymore? We're like, no, but it did present some new challenges. And if I'm not mistaken, and let's talk through this, and to even show you the bigger importance of this, is you got to kind of cast a wider net now at the beginning, because we don't have that as intense targeting as we did when those axioms and those third parties went away.
100%.
So this, and let's talk this through for everybody, and we'll share our knowledge on this. But from dealing with our Facebook rep, it's basically we got to cast a wider audience at the beginning, and then start to zero in because of those limitations. And the video allows you to retarget people based on casting that wider net. Of course, it needs to be targeted in general, obviously, to you don't want to just go to the masses, but get a general targeting, and then from there you can retarget based on people who are engaging with your stuff. So do you agree with all of that, or do you have anything to add there as well on that line of thinking with, because everybody's so caught up in this, what happened with Facebook and the Senate and everything?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's certainly getting slightly trickier to target people based on interest, demographics, behaviors, and those types of things. Like workplace targeting was taken away recently, or months ago now, when they said, no, you can't target people based on where they work for the most part. And now after the Senate hearing, they're taking away things such as being able to target people based on income and various other things. So it's arguably getting harder. But like you say, the smart advertisers have always gone for the relationship building aspect first. So for some context, the number one biggest problem that I see with people advertising on Facebook is they'll create an ad promoting something, one of their products or services, and they'll just promote that out to people that have never heard of them before and hope that the floodgates open and people buy from them. But at that point that your ad reaches that person, they have no idea who you are, and quite frankly don't care who you are. So the question then becomes, well, how do we make someone that doesn't know who we are care about us or actually want to hear from us? And that's where content comes in, and creating content is actually valuable and actually relevant to somebody. So like you say, video is one of the best ways to do that, because it allows us to stand in front of a camera, create something of value, and then we can use Facebook to promote it out to people. So my kind of strategy to get around that is, if I start working with a client, the first thing that I do isn't to start spending more money on ads or to create some complex advertising funnel. Let's actually look at your content here, and what are you doing and putting out there that's actually valuable to people. So the first step will be to start creating valuable content. Now, if we create, let's just say, for the sake of argument, one video a week, over the period of a year, that gives us 52 videos that we've created and we've posted out onto Facebook. Within that 52 videos, we'll see videos that have performed well, some videos that haven't performed well, and that's all well and good. We only want to focus on the videos that perform well. And when we see a video performing well, we can then start to promote that out to more people. And over time, we'll probably start to get hundreds or thousands of people watching those videos. And then that gives us a massive audience, a massive base of people, which we can then retarget with a follow-up ad. And that follow-up ad might be the offer then, or it might be just a free guide, or it might be a free training, whatever the offer is. But because we've put a piece of content, a video, before ever asking for anything in return, we build trust. They start to know who we are. It's kind of like Gary V's jab, 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 right hook mentalities. We're giving, and then we're asking. And Facebook allows us to kind of have this meet, like, no trust, relationship building thing, which isn't to do with Facebook ads. It's human psychology, relationship building, communication. Facebook allows us to do it all within the one platform, which is what makes it so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, you basically just touched on content marketing, right? And Facebook is the platform to get it out there. We're concentrating on Facebook. It's just, with everything, it's still the leading one. Facebook, Instagram, by the way. I'm sure Gavin's saying the same thing. When we say Facebook, we mean Facebook and Instagram. And then you have the other platforms as well, and you might dip into some of the other ones if your demographic, if it's super skews young, you might, utilize Snapchat. But again, Instagram's really eating up a lot of that as well, a lot of those audiences. So that's why we're concentrating on Facebook and Instagram so much, because they are the leaders. But all they really are distribution. It's basically like a radio ad or a TV commercial or whatever, billboard, whatever. It's a distribution means, but it's a fantastic distribution means. And so what Gavin was touching on there, as far as the strategy, isn't just to place ads, direct call to action ads. I mean, if you had an amazing e-com product that sold itself and it's a great deal and it's freaking amazing, maybe you could go direct to buy. But 99% of the time, you're going to need to build that trust. So you're going to want to think through building content that isn't direct call to actions, but building that trust. And from there, you follow that up with testimonials or call to actions or whatever into the flow. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, awesome. Well, cool. Let's move on to Facebook Live posts. Are you a big fan of these? And if so, any advice or items or anything people should consider when looking to do a Facebook Live?
Yeah, I you know what? I don't do that many of them on my kind of public Facebook page, my public figure page, but I do have a Facebook group, which is purely focused on learning Facebook ads, and I have not done so many recently, but bringing them back in and used to do them, and found that they're a great way to. I find they're a really great way to sell, and I've got friends and clients that do a lot of Instagram lives too, and they find that they're a great way to sell because the number one thing in marketing is getting people's attention, and like we said, video works because we're keeping people's attention. Live video almost like doubles. I don't know the exact stats, but the attention that someone pays when they're watching a live video is probably tenfold what they watch just on an initial video, never mind a text post, for example. And when you've got somebody's attention, you can provide the value there and then and try to sell to them at the same point. It's almost like being in a workshop or a seminar. You can provide that value. People are still there listening to you, and then you can still pitch your product or your service at the end. And so as much as I'm not doing them because I'm focusing my efforts on other types of content, I still think they're a very, very powerful means.
And do you do a lot of pre-promotion for those Facebook Lives?
Well, not really, because in the Facebook group, I have always done it at the same time on the same day. And so people came to expect that on a Friday afternoon, there's going to be a Facebook Live where I would answer any of their questions that they had.
And who's Facebook Live good for then? Somebody who already has kind of a good audience already?
I think it's mostly audience, people that've got the audience. I think there's, or either that, or if you've got something really interesting that you can share on live. I think the best, there was one really, really smart Facebook Live that I saw here in Edinburgh, in my hometown, which was, there was a van parked on the street with just beer in it, and they left the doors open. They had a Facebook Live streaming it, and you could just sit and watch people go and take the free beer. And it was, I think it was titled like, "Are people going to steal the beer from this van?" or something along those lines. And you could just sit and watch it. And something like that is almost like a viral piece of content. Another really smart way that I saw it being used was, again, in Edinburgh. One of my friends who's a vlogger here, you can do a Facebook Live from your drone. And there was a forest fire that lit up in Edinburgh. And he was one of the first people on the scene. because he flew his drone over the fire and filmed it. And all the news and the press people used his footage, which obviously boosted his numbers massively. And that video was seen, I can't remember, way over 100,000 times on Facebook anyway, regardless of all the PR and things. And so I think Facebook Live can be used in two real main ways, which is if you've got something that's a really cool, almost viral event that's happening that you can film, just set the camera up and let people come in and watch it and consume it as they want to. Another one I saw just off the top of my head was somebody that was running backwards around an athletics track for 24 hours. And you could go tune in and watch that on Facebook Live, which was funny. I found myself just going in every hour or so to see what's going on. Or if you do have a community like in my Facebook group where people come to expect there's going to be a Q&A, for example, on a Friday afternoon, and they can come in and they can get their questions answered, then I think that's really powerful
Gotcha.
also.
So what I'm hearing is if you have something, extraordinary and special, go for it, even if you don't have like an ongoing piece. But if you have built up, somewhat of an audience, and then if you do something consistent, those are probably the people who need to get into Facebook Live. Those totally are the best cases.
Yeah, and I think another thing with Facebook Live is, which is almost a positive thing and a negative thing, is it's so easy, in which you can just set your camera or your phone up and just start filming, and that's your content being produced there and then. That's a great thing because you can get content out there. People don't expect it to be perfect, and if someone comes in that your dog starts barking, people understand, and it's fine.
Yeah,
you don't have to set up the camera. Whereas at the same time, though, that can also probably be a curse because I know people get nervous when they do a Facebook Live because they feel like they can't make any mistakes as well.
No,
so there's positive and negatives, and to be honest, I think the unsexy answer is if you can just mix it in with the other types of content that you're creating to have that live element and your kind of main focus on content, then that's a pretty good.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. Yeah, and you can record them, right? So you could always then you have a piece of content there, and obviously you can set up your pixels and retarget people as well.
100%.
So yeah, those are. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that to kind of because that's out there, but that makes a whole lot of sense about when and how to utilize Facebook Live. If you can do an ongoing thing where people come to expect it, if you have a decent audience. And if you don't, you can maybe start to build one if you do something really cool and exceptional and get it out there. Now, let's move on. I know we've talked a little bit about, and it's kind of assumed that we're spending money here on Facebook, right? But talk about that. I just like to set the record straight here whenever I talk with other Facebook experts, because some people still think that they can just post stuff and something great's going to happen. We're down to 1 to 3% on organic views on the stuff you post. So just we don't need to dig into this deep, but if you could just set the record straight on needing to spend money or not.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, actually, because for me, being a vlogger, I have a massive interest in how my videos do well, how they perform organically. And I'm trying to do everything I can to make my videos do well organically. So when I come to spend money on it, you're almost adding fuel to the fire.
Yep.
If I believe that Facebook reach, albeit is pretty low and pretty crap on the most part, is still okay if your content is exceptional. In that I've posted 5 videos in the last week and they've all been seen around 20, 30,000 times each organically. And that's through a mixture of slowly over time I've built up an audience that come to expect, in this case, like Scottish related videos. Also utilizing things like Facebook groups and sharing my content into relevant Facebook groups, which means I don't have to spend money on it. But in the grand scheme of things, if you want Facebook to generate you a solid return on investment and you want that return on investment to be kind of consistent and scalable, then it certainly is a pay-to-play platform now.
But I like what you said, and that's kind of the direction we're going. Is we're looking to get an organic play, and if it's people within the company, there's a lot of people within the company, have everybody engage. a little bit, just be a like, share it out, comment, and then maybe send it to an email list that exists. And then we put money behind it. So we try to get a little bit of organic play as much as we can. It's going to vary on what we're working with and what kind of audiences. I mean, if somebody has a 20,000 email list versus a 200 email list, or if they have 50 people in their company versus 5 people in their company, it's going to be different, but that's all relative anyways, right? So, but we want to get them involved first. That's kind of our strategy here. And let me know if you like it. But, we will post something, we'll send it to internal ambassadors, as we call them, like internal employees. Then we send it out to, these are for bigger pieces of content, of course. Then we send it out to the email list of the, that they built, sign in, opt in lists. And then we put dollars behind it because we want Facebook to see that, hey, this is somewhat valuable. And then that just, like what we call it, it fans the flames. But you got to have some spark, right?
100%. I think that's a smart move, in that we should be aiming for exceptional organic performance before we spend money. Mm-hmm. That's not to say that we shouldn't spend money, but we should be aiming for our content to perform really, really well organically before we spend money on it. And some videos won't do, or some piece of content just won't do well, and that's fine. You maybe posted it at the wrong time, or it was just a generally not very good video, and chances are that's the video that you spent the most money on and most time on. That's just the way it works sometimes. Some videos won't do well, but some of them will do well, and the net gain is always better. And so I was just going to say is always try and focus on creating amazing organic content and try to make the most of that organically before you spend money on it. But spending money on it is a smart move.
And when you say amazing organic content, I mean, we can take the word organic out of that. You just mean produce amazing content. And then from that, people will like it naturally. And if you need to kind of get the ball rolling, manifest it, basically get it going by getting your employees or the teammates involved. That's a way to get it going, but the content is going to dictate. So if you're producing great stuff, which is what you really have to do. I mean, we had to take a step back recently and get out of the quantity thinking and really stop and say, well, let's do less but better, because it's the way the world's going, and people are getting smarter every single day. So you're not going to fool them with surface level stuff, or they ain't going to come back. So just concentrate first and foremost. Awesome content speaks to your target audience, helps you out, and then you can get the stuff going with. And we're not talking about placing ads today and all the nuances there. You have to be either with an agency who's good at that or yourself who's good at that, because that's a really big deal, and the flows. And we're not really talking strategy in that regards today, but it is part of it. But even more so, the biggest thing is quality content. Try to utilize video because it's going to get you the biggest play. It's going to be the less expensive play as well. So let's touch a little bit about some misperceptions when it comes to making a good and acceptable video. I think sometimes people think that unless you produce like a Nike type quality, high production type of video, then you shouldn't even start doing anything at all. So I'd like for you to set the record straight here as well and speak on like what are just the minimum quality standards. Obviously, this is not going to be some super crazy high production, but to me, it's going to be very valuable.
100%.
So let's say, but a lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people think like, oh, it has to be absolutely, like I saw Nike do this. Well, they also had $500,000 to produce that, exactly. Right? So let's get people in front of the camera.
Yeah, 100%. Well, people watching the video, that's all you need, which is a phone. So to give context of my story is I decided I had to get into the video game after seeing people like Gary Vee and all the people that I looked up to saying, you need to get into video. And I knew looking at my own consumer behavior, that I was watching a ton of video. You go on Facebook, it's all video. I knew that I had to get in video. This would have been about 2 years ago. And so I took my phone into a forest to film my first video because I was so scared of anyone seeing me that I felt like I had to go into the forest and use the trees to protect me. True story. And I filmed the video about how to grow your audience on Twitter. Every time I'm on stage and I ask people why was I in the trees, they always say, because you were wanted to symbolize the Twitter bird or something. And I'm like, no, it's not. I'm not that smart. Anyway, so I posted that video and realized that nobody watched it whatsoever. And so I had to get better on video. And so I set myself the challenge of filming one video a day for 100 days. So for 100 days, I picked up my phone and I uploaded a video, which might have been a meeting I had, a thought I had during that day, or just something random. Just push myself to upload any video, whatever it was, on Facebook and YouTube. No editing, nothing. And that really got me into the habit of just thinking, actually, content doesn't have to be that great to be uploaded. And then you start looking at
you mean the quality of the production.
Exactly, yeah.
The words do. The words do.
Yeah, totally. But all you have to do is pick up your phone, and you've got HD camera right there, an amazing microphone right there. And if you go onto your Facebook feed right now and you scroll through it and you look at all the videos, I guarantee the majority of them are shot on a phone, and they're not production value. And there's even an argument to say that people switch off to high production value videos on Facebook now because they just think it's an ad.
Yep.
Which it probably
not as
is.
authentic. It's not as authentic, right? And as far as the where's my phone? So and a tip on that, you want to go this way, right? Not this way. Make sure you're horizontal when you do it. But I'm glad you brought up the phone, because and we're doing this in front of our camera here on our computers. So this is perfectly, not only acceptable content, I almost think that everybody needs to mix this in, even the Nikes of the world. If Nike had people who were on camera and looking authentic, in their home office or in their office or outside or something like that. I mean, we're rolling out some really big videos a lot of videos for in the plan for a couple companies. And it's just, we're getting the employees involved. And I say, hey, when you get off one of your coaching calls, talk about what was interesting. If something was, just get on. And it's fine. So everybody out there, if you have an iPhone, you have your production crew. So then if you have yourself in your phone, you have your production crew in all the equipment that you need. Just make sure it sounds good, right? Make sure you can hear, and make sure it's decent lighting, but mainly audio, and make sure your content is worthwhile. And that's basically the entry level, right?
100%. My favorite kind of takeaway, and it's from somebody that you've had on the podcast before, Marcus Sheridan.
Yeah.
Is
I almost brought him up, actually.
Yeah, embrace the messy. Embrace the fact that you don't have a massive camera. Embrace the fact that you probably aren't going to be very good on video when you first start.
That's so funny.
Yeah, just embrace it and actually learn to enjoy it. And even if you are uncomfortable and it's your first video and you don't have the right lighting or whatever it may be, tell people. Like, how cool would it be if you had a massive company like Nike and you had John that worked at Nike, and he was sat at home in his pajamas and he was working on a new advert for Nike, and he videoed it and he showed the world, hey, look, I'm John, I'm just a normal guy, but I'm working on this massive campaign. Right? And he shot it on his phone. Like, that is so authentic, and people would love it.
Especially millennials growing up here. They crave that. I think we all crave it, but I think we've identified them as craving it more so. And I think they're really leading the charge for dictating how we need to speak to people, right? And so, and they're going to be massive buying. They already are massive buying power, but it's only going to go more. So they've kind of really pushed the authenticity. And I think during South by Southwest this last March, did authenticity come up over and over and over, more than ever. And it's funny you brought up Marcus Sheridan. I almost brought him up when I asked this question, because when we had our podcast together, did he not just harp that? Like, just go. You don't need, stop making excuses. Just get in front of the camera and go. Try. Brick by brick, you'll build a mansion one day. But you doesn't start without that first brick. So yeah, he's big on that. And one thing he does say is audio, though. Make sure you have your audio is good. Make sure, little stupid things like turn your camera sideways. It fits the platforms. But other than that, just bring home the value. Be yourself. That's what people are looking for. Awesome. Now, you mentioned going into the woods and stuff, but I'd love for you to touch on any other fun and creative ideas you've seen out there with video. Anything at all you can share that you're like, oh man, this is really cool, or here's another really cool idea. Anything like that?
Yeah. I kind of touched on it before, but starting to see a few people bring in Facebook Lives from their drone, I think is pretty awesome.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it's like I've got a Mavic Air myself, and so I can do it, and I've done it a couple of times. And for example, when the marathon was in Edinburgh, I filmed above the marathon people running through the streets, and again, that was picked up by the newspapers. Like Facebook Live from drones is something that the media haven't even picked up on yet. And so if you've got a drone, then by all means start getting involved in that. Something that's really interesting right now that has literally just come out is Instagram TV. And we've been speaking about making sure our videos are horizontal. That's just added a complete curveball and saying it's giving us the opportunity to do long form content vertically. And so whenever I'm producing a vlog now, I'm obviously filming it in horizontal, but I'm trying to edit it as well. So I've got a vertical version for Instagram TV. So I'm really interested to see how that plays out. I don't think anyone knows how it's going to play out right now. I'm kind of just at the beginning of that, and you're just seeing people testing it, but that's going to be fascinating.
What's going to be different about Instagram TV? Is it still going to be videos like this, or is it like more highly produced, or beginning to end story format? Like what's that about?
It's going to be really interesting. It's essentially, for anyone that hasn't heard, it's essentially Instagram stories, but you can put a 1 hour long video on there. So you can go on Instagram and you can watch long form vertical content on there.
Same like stories,
which is fascinating to me. I don't know. It's almost like it's exactly the same as Instagram stories, but rather than 15 seconds, it's an hour long. You can make, and so I'm fascinated to see how that plays out in terms of is it Instagram trying to take on YouTube with long form content? We know that quite a lot of kind of younger people are consuming a lot of vertical video with Snapchat and Instagram and things. They're holding their phone like this. And so I'm really interested to see how that plays out. And it could be like, let's take Kim Kardashian, for example. Maybe she'll do long form content as she walks down the street or as she's getting her makeup done or something along those lines. If you can look at it that way, there's going to be a huge amount of attention.
And what about like this? Would this apply as an Instagram story, like podcast interviews, video podcast interviews?
Yeah, I don't see why not. One thing that I haven't checked is whether you can play the video and lock your phone. I.e., could you upload a podcast as the 1 hour video and then somebody locks their phone, puts it in their pocket, and listens to it? Don't know whether or not that will work. Obviously, you'd have to edit it so it's a vertical video, but from the video point of view. But to be honest, it came out a couple of days ago, and so I think everyone's still trying to figure out how to use it and what it will be used for. But I'm really interested to keep on watching that.
Okay, cool. Well, just a couple more. Appreciate that because that is a brand new thing. Appreciate you bringing that to everyone's attention. A couple questions before I have to let you go. I know we've touched about people potentially shooting it vertical. That's a common mistake. Not making sure the audio is good. Any other common mistakes that we need to touch on? Anything else out there that, like, oh, don't do this or don't do that?
Common mistakes. I think, yeah, I mean, this is just a little one that's just come to my head is the average watch time for a video on Facebook right now is 6 seconds. So people are watching videos on Facebook on average 6 seconds. Which says to me in the first 6 seconds of your video, you've really got to grab someone's attention to get them to stop scrolling their feed and to actually watch that piece of content. And I mean, I don't see this too often, but sometimes you'll see videos of people going, hello there, my name is Gavin Bell, and this is what I do, and blah, 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 blah. And then 1 minute into the video, they hit the actual entertaining or educational part. When it comes to Facebook, scrap all that. Like, get rid of the 6 second logo coming up and shining and going away stuff at the beginning and just get straight to the content.
Yeah.
Straight to the valuable, entertaining bit.
That's a great point. That's a great point. We actually picked up this tip from somebody. But for instance, to that point, Gavin, just so you know, like when we do these, we're going to take, one of the more interesting things that you mentioned or talked about, and we play that snippet to kick it off. Then we go into, hey, this is Gavin, and then we go into the podcast. But we want to, let somebody hear something like, oh, that is really interesting, right? And so yeah, no, I'm definitely hearing you. Get into it. And one other tip I would say for the overall equation is, you do have opportunities to retarget and set your retargeting parameters. And again, the whole point of this is to cast a wide net, but then catch the people who really should be progressed to the next stage, either watching another piece of content or seeing a consideration like a testimonial type of ad, and then being shown the call to action, right? So I think I've seen a lot of people make a mistake of putting like 3 seconds or even 6 seconds or possibly even 10 seconds as the capture. That really doesn't show somebody was all that interested, right? But Facebook counts it. But you have the opportunity to so I would say set that parameter at 15, 30 seconds, right? Do you want to touch, validate or invalidate that, Gavin?
100%. So obviously Facebook counts a view as when somebody sees that content for 3 seconds. And so that can be just as somebody scrolls through their feed, 3 seconds, boom, it's the view. And if you then retarget that, you're retargeting people that potentially aren't interested at all, and you've almost just wasted the whole idea of capturing people's interests with that initial video. So we'll depending on the type of campaign that you're running, but if it's something that's quite a high, something that requires a lot of action on the user's point of view, i.e. purchasing something, then often we'll sometimes go 75, 95%. They've watched 95% of the video before retargeting them. If it's something maybe like free guide or download, then we'll go maybe 25% video viewed, or 10 seconds even sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But that 3 seconds is way too little, because you just don't know whether the people that you're targeting are actually relevant or not.
Yeah, awesome. Well, cool. All right, now dust off your crystal ball and tell us any big predictions you see coming up here.
I am really fascinated right now by the potential relaunch of Vine.
Oh, wow. I'm normally on top of this stuff. I did not hear that. When did that come out? Man, you stumped me. Go ahead.
An interesting one. So Dom Hoffman, the guy that created Vine originally, I'm following his tweets right now, and he's been talking about for a while now about creating a Vine 2. Although saying that maybe a couple of months ago, he put up a post saying the development of Vine 2 is being cancelled due to monetary reasons, etc. Blah, 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 blah. But we'll try and resolve this, but I don't know when. Although again, he's come out again more recently and said, I'm building another app, which won't be called Vine 2, won't be green, but it will be a video app.
Within Twitter?
We're not sure.
For Twitter?
No, I don't think so. Separate from Twitter. So, I mean, Vine 2 might be, I don't know, years down the line. But ever since Vine went away, I've been fascinated by it coming back, or potentially coming back, because I think it's one platform, YouTube and I guess Instagram. I guess all the platforms have it, but Vine seemed to be an app where anyone with a little bit of creativity could make it big and make a career out of themselves. You look at like Logan Paul and his brother, and how they've made a massive career from themselves from this little app producing 6-second videos. So I'm really fascinated and interested to see that. Also, the other day I was giving access to Facebook's Creator Studio, which basically allows me as a creator to start monetizing my videos on Facebook, just like YouTube, by running mid-roll ads. And I'm really fascinated to see how that plays out from a creator's point of view. And so I'm uploading a video tonight, and it'll be the first video on Facebook that I've ever monetized. So I'm excited to see how well it does in terms of reach, in terms of views, how much money I actually make from that, if any. And so that's really fascinating to me, and how Facebook are trying to really target that kind of creator market right now. YouTube are obviously the massive dominators in video creators, but I'm really fascinated to see how Facebook and almost Instagram, maybe with Instagram TV, are going to try and capture that creators market as well.
Well, bottom line, it sounds like all of this stuff is video based. So
100%.
Get into it, people. It's not hard. It's a really low barrier of entry. I don't mean to say it's not hard in the sense that, you got to do it, and you got to say some good stuff, and you got to have some good stuff to talk about. But as far as the production and the barriers of entry, they have been removed. So it's just a matter of learning and doing, and sharing your expertise or your humor or your inspiration, whatever it is with the world. Just make sure you're serving your audience, but get into video now. All right, Gavin, this has been fantastic. How can people continue to learn from you?
Best way would be go to my website where I share all my blogs and or my Facebook page. Everything is Mr. Gavin Bell. If you type in Mr. Gavin Bell on Google or mrgavinbell.com, Mr. Gavin Bell, Facebook, Instagram, wherever, you'll find me, and I'm always sharing fun and exciting stuff.
Easy enough. All right, Gavin. Hey, until next time, I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the latest podcast. Feel free to go to magnificent.com/blog to see the show notes for this interview, as well as those from many other of the world's top marketing experts. Have a great day.